In today's video, I want to talk about the true cost of starting your very own car cleaning business that nobody would tell you about. And this video is important because I'm going to be covering all the little bits and bobs, and trust me, they may not seem like a big deal at the time, but once you add it up over the course of the year, it is going to cost you an absolute fortune. So if this is your first ever time that you're thinking about starting a car cleaning business, then make sure you stick around till the end. So last year I made a video all about starting your own car cleaning business on a budget, and if you haven't seen that video yet, I will put a link in the description below. And it's a really good one for you guys because you can get to see exactly how much everything's going to cost, and I break it all down so it's nice and easy to follow. So if you're having a hard time trying to get to grips with how much everything's going to cost, that video will guide you perfectly. But that video was more aimed at people who wanted to get everything from scratch. They wanted to start on a budget, but they wanted it all brand new. We never really covered any of the other ways that you can sort of get by if you want to start your business and you haven't got that much money. So we're going to kick it off with number one, and that is getting yourself a second-hand or a refurbed pressure washer. We've got Karcher Outlet, which obviously specialise in just Karchers, but Nilfisk also have one as well. Now they haven't got as many machines, mainly because they don't go wrong as much as a Karcher. So if you want to find a Karcher, you're going to be spoilt for choice because they don't have a decent reliability compared to the Nilfisk. So if I'm brutally honest, I think sometimes you're better off buying a refurb machine instead of a brand new one. And hear me out on this one, because when you get a brand new Karcher, for example, they may pass quality control, but after a little while, there is things that are going to start to go wrong in it. However, when you go for a refurb machine, at least they've been inspected by proper human beings who will take the machine apart, they have a good look at it, and they will get everything fixed so they know it's going to be working. And it will also prevent any more things from going wrong in the future. So getting one either second-hand or refurbed is not actually a bad idea. However, refurbs are not the be-all and end-all. Remember, you have got Facebook Marketplace and you have got eBay, but obviously do check out the people before you part with your money, because there are so many scams going on, especially with Facebook Marketplace now. It's becoming too easy, it seems, for people to try and sell you stuff and then you transfer your money. So don't go buying into it. If you're going to buy something, do a cash transaction and do it there and then, unless you're going to do card payments. Do it when you see the actual person with the product. Don't go parting with any money until you've got it in your hands. So moving back onto the refurb side of things. Now, if you go to nilfiskoutlet.co.uk, like I said, you're not going to find that many refurbs on there because they hardly go wrong. But if you can get yourself a P180, and that's what I've currently got, and you can probably pick them up for around £300. If you expect that to last around 2 years, it's probably going to cost you around £12.50 a month just to own one of those machines over 2 years. And that's the way you've got to look at it. If you do go buying a domestic machine, it's not going to last forever, unlike a commercial one, but you can get some real hidden gems out there. Another thing that nobody ever talks about is the price of gloves. Oh my word, they are so expensive. Now, back in the day, when I say back in the day, we're talking 2019, before the world went a little bit crazy, you could get yourself a box of gloves for about £7. And that was a pretty good price considering you got 100 in there. So that would normally last you the month. And I used to try and get a box every single month. But now, for the same pair of gloves, you're looking at around £25 per box. It's going to set you back £300 a year at least. And there are other alternatives. Yes, you can give them a decent wash afterwards, but these gloves don't last forever. They normally only do a couple of turns, so you can save a little bit of money. It's not very hygienic, but it is another way that you can try and cut back on the spending. So just bear that in mind. If you are jumping into this business, you're going to have to spend nearly £300 to £400 on gloves alone, and that's just the thin gloves. If you want to get thick gloves as well, that's going to cost another arm and a leg on top. And believe me, you do get through a lot of those thicker black gloves as well. And while we're on the subject of spending money on products and things, remember that chemicals are going to be skyrocketing because of the cost of fuel. It's now going to mean that transportation is going to cost a lot more for shifting these chemicals. So you've got to keep your wits about you. You've got to try and find a decent local supplier that you can go to if you want to try and cut back on any hefty delivery charges, because believe me, they are skyrocketing at the minute. So alternatively, you can rely on people like the Autoglim or the AutoSmart companies where they turn up in a van, but bear in mind the prices that they're going to be having are still going to be slightly creeping up. So don't expect any miracles. And the cost of your own fuel is going to set you back an absolute fortune as well. I remember I spent about a couple of grand a year. This year is going to be a completely different story. I'm trying to cut back as much as I can, trying to keep the van as light as possible. So just remember, if you haven't got a massive budget and you are starting out, sometimes it does pay just to go for a car, forget the water tank, forget the generator altogether, and just rely on your normal supplies. And you just have to say to the client, look, if I don't have power, I don't have water, I can't do the job, because sometimes it just isn't worth it. And that's just the way of the business these days. Another thing nobody talks about is the workwear and how much it's going to cost to get your own branded jackets, hats and jumpers and trousers. Don't worry about that yet. Just keep all your stuff simple. I only have plain black clothing and I will always keep it that way as well. You don't need to have the fancy jackets. Yes, it will make you look good later down the line, but honestly, when you are starting out, you don't need any of that. I just have black t-shirt, black trainers, black trousers and a black jacket, and I just keep it as simple as that. And it's so cheap to get stuff. You can even go on Amazon right now and get yourself clothing. T-shirts will cost you 50p on there. If you look around hard enough, believe it or not, there are plenty of good options out there. Yes, they are cheap, but you're not going to be wearing them to your wedding, are you? These are just going to be clothing that you're going to be cleaning cars in, so you are going to be hammering through a lot of workwear, trust me. Another one nobody ever talks about is trade insurance, and that is going to set you back around £200 to £400 per year for public liability. Now, this will cover you in case you do any damage to a car, or you make like some sort of little mistake where you might rip the seat or something like that along those lines. However, this does not cover you for driving the vehicle. For that, you're going to need Motor Traders insurance, and that will set you back on average, I'm just saying from my point of view, around £2,000. That's the average going rate currently, and I'm 35 at the minute, so no, I'm not, I'm 36, Jesus Christ. I'm 36, and that's what I've been quoted to get mine for my next year's renewal. So that's what you're going to have to pay, unfortunately, if you want to start moving cars around, unless your client is very, you know. Another thing people might not talk about is the cost of maintaining everything. Remember, you have to get everything serviced. Not only that, you've got to get your electrical equipment pat tested as well to make sure that it's safe. If something happens, you will be liable if you don't get it done. So make sure you keep on top of that as well. Servicing your jet washer will cost you around £50 to £100 per year, as will your vacuum cleaners and things like that. So also bear in mind the service charges for them. Also, you have your wheel brushes, and there's something that you will be getting through quite a few of, especially if you're a mobile car cleaner and you are hammering away at your wheels every single day. The best ones I've currently got at the minute are Wheel Willies. They've lasted me for about a year. It's only one of the medium brushes which is starting to deteriorate now, and that's how good they are. And believe me, I give them an absolute hammering. You can go for cheaper ones, but they're not going to last 5 minutes. So if you think buying a £10 brush is going to be the answer for you, it isn't, because trust me, later down the line, by the time a year's gone, you've probably spent over 150 quid just on brushes alone. So my best advice is go for premium ones now, so you don't have to worry later on. But there is one more thing that is definitely going to impact you, and that is your health. If you think this job's going to be plain sailing, think again. Just take a look at me. I'm wasting away, honestly. If you don't look after yourself when you're doing this business, it will just chew you up and spit you out, because that's what it does. It is so demanding on the body. You will get back pains. You'll get ringing ears from using all the equipment. You will get very stressed pretty quickly. And if you think it's going to be like when you're doing your own car, where it's going to be therapeutic, think again, because it's not. It's going to be intense. When you're doing this for a business, it's a completely different ball game. You've got to be on it. If you want to make money and you want to make decent money per hour, you have to put the hours in, and you have to put in real solid graft. You can't just stand there delicately brushing away at a bit of a window or whatever because you think it looks nice. You can't do any of that. I know I sort of put things like that on YouTube, and I will do another video probably on the reality of it, because it's not always like that, what you see. It is very stressful. You've got to go so quickly, and it can really get to you mentally at times. So I think you've got to be quite focused if you're going to do this business. And another thing that you're going to get is constant shoulder pain. When you're polishing, you are going to find it is going to start to hurt around here and here. And also, because when you bend over, oh God, this is getting wrong now. When you're bending over and you're trying to hoover, the last thing you want to do is push your hand down on leather seats, because what you find is you'll start damaging it, you'll start warping it, and it will take a while to repair. if you do that sort of damage. So you've got to remember, you've got to try and use some of your inner core strength. You're also going to be on your knees lots of times throughout the day because you're going to be down on the wheels. So you've got to get yourself padded floor mats if you want to start looking after your knees. I'm going to say this now, I don't do any of that, and I'm probably going to regret it over the next 10 years. I hope I'm not doing this in 10 years, but you can see where I'm going with this. It's all these little things like looking after yourself. When you're walking around a car, you don't realise how many steps you're doing per day. Honestly, you're going to be walking around and around and around and around. Before you know it, you've probably burnt a couple of thousand calories. That's why I look like I'm always wasting away, because I don't really stop for lunch. I'm constantly working my butt off trying to get stuff done, trying to earn some money. This is one of those businesses, right? Unfortunately, you can't really have a massive franchise with loads and loads of people around you, because anybody who is good will probably want to go off and do it on their own. So if you are lucky enough to find people who are good and will work with you, then that's great. But honestly, if you want to do this, a lot of people just end up doing it on your own. How many car cleaners do you see these days where they're just working on their own? There's a few exceptions where there's a few people who have built up successful franchises, and fair play, because I don't even think I would go down that route. But honestly, a load of people who do this business, I would say you've got about 20 to 25 years of doing it. At that point, the amount of people I see now who are sort of in their 50s and 60s, and they're like, oh, I used to be a car cleaner once, I was just like you. And I look at them and I'm like, man, not only have they got no teeth and no hair or anything, they look absolutely knackered. And I don't want to be one of them. So you've got to understand that this is going to take its toll on your body, but not only that, it will take its toll on your family, because you aren't going to be around as much. You have to put those hours in if you want to get this money. It is not easy money. I don't care what anybody says. You can have people wave their cash around or drive flashy new vans. It means nothing until they've paid 100% for it. All those people you'll see on Instagram, you think, oh yeah, look at them, they're in their brand new van, I want to be like that. Honestly, unless I see a receipt saying that they've paid for it outright with their own money that they've worked for, I'm telling you now, it's all bloody fake. And for people like me, it's more important that my money goes on my family instead of myself and my own ego. So I'm going to leave that one with you right there. So do not think this is an easy job. If you are going to do it, please do your research before you go jumping in, telling everybody that you are a detailer, even though you've only washed one car with a bucket and a sponge. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.